Hello everyone. Okay, is everyone ready? Okay, my name is Anaxor and I'm gonna teach you about exploration today. You should be docked up safely and in LRAT if you want to participate in the practical basically. Please set up your mumble on push to dock if you not did that already. And I would like to ask you to keep the class.E-UNI channel clear only for questions, and I will try to answer them as they come, okay? Okay, over the next 2 hours we will cover basically skills needed for scanning, ships and the bonuses they provide, well, ships for exploration and the bonuses, equipment used, a description of the scanning window for those of you that haven't scanned before, basically. Signature groups and what they are and what to expect from them. I will teach you how to set up a scanning formation or array, however you want to call it, and the indicators that will basically tell you what you uncovered. Okay, let's begin. I will give you a link in class.E-UNI for a PowerPoint presentation as soon as I find it. Okay, I need to know if all of you can see it. If you have any problems, please accept in class.E-UNI or tell me on Mumble. Okay, so I'm guessing you don't have any problems with seeing the presentation. Okay, it works. Okay, I will teach you primarily about scanning with probes in order to find cosmic signatures or ships or structures in space. Please forgive me because my English is not my first language, so if I mess up some words. Okay, you should know that cosmic signatures are not the same thing as cosmic anomalies. You can scan for cosmic anomalies without probes. Basically, you just go and jump in a system or undock, and once you hit analyze, you will automatically, if you haven't changed the filters, you will automatically see the scanning cosmic anomalies. The cosmic anomalies are combat sites, basically. Those cosmic signatures are not only combat sites, yeah? Okay, please turn to the next page, basically, in the presentation, the next slide. You have the basic, the skills for scanning and what bonuses they provide, and the attributes you need, the attributes that would make the training faster, basically. The astrometric skill allows you to launch another probe in space, basically an additional one. It is calculated basically 3 probes plus the skill level. Then you have astrometric acquisition, which reduces the scanning time. It gives you a 10% reduction. The base scanning time is 10 seconds, and each level of astrometric acquisition skill will take 10% of that down, so basically 1 second, yeah? This is usually used for scouts that want to scan ships faster and pinpoint them faster. Okay, astrometric pinpointing. Basically, 10% reduction in maximum scan deviation means that the result of the signature, the result will become closer to its actual position in space. Because when you first start scanning, the result will be a bit out of place than it would be when you bring it to 100%. Then you have astrometric range finding, which gives you 10% increase to scan strength. Basically, just to put it in a basic way, it provides a stronger signal that will make the target clearer. Yeah, basically. Okay. Next slide. I made a table. I usually make tables because you see a list and it's more organized and you can see the difference between different things. You have the implants that give you bonuses for scanning. You should have heard about the Virtue set, which is the scanning set. it costs a lot if you want to have all of it, basically. And the bonuses are the second bonuses, basically. The first bonuses are perception, memory, willpower, intelligence, and charisma. You have a +2 bonus for them. Then you have the skill level needed to use them, basically. Each one has science at 3. Basically, that's what you need to be able to implant to put a implant in. And cybernetics, it depends on basically, it depends on the implant. The Virtue set costs around, all of it, including the Omega one, the low-grade Virtue Omega, costs around 2 billion and 200 million ISK. It's expensive. But yeah, basically it gives you an advantage if exploration is what you do all the time, because if not, in my opinion, it's not worth it, basically. Okay, the next slide, you have the ships used for scanning. Yeah, you have the ships by race. You have the Tech 1 frigates, including the faction ones, yeah. They give bonus for the racial frigate skill. When I say racial frigate, it means basically if you're Minmatar, you have to have Minmatar frigate. That's what racial frigate skill means. They provide a 7.5% scan strength for probes. They also give a 5% bonus to basically the modules you would need to complete certain kinds of sites. We'll get to that later. But I do not recommend that you do sites in your frigates, even if they're cover tops, because the rats may spawn when you try to break the cans or when you interact with objects from your site. The Tech 2 frigates, you know them as covert ops, and they give bonuses for the covert ops skill level. The bonuses that you're interested in are the ones that I wrote on the slide. 20% reduced CPU need for cloaking devices, because if you have a covert ops, you need to have a cloaking device. 10% increase to scan strength, and 10% reduction to survey probe flight time. We'll get to that later. Tech 3 cruisers are strategic cruisers, and if you fit them with the Emergent Locus Analyzer subsystem, they have bonuses for scanning, basically, for scanning with probes. A 10% bonus to scan strength of probes per level, 20% to range of velocity of tractor beams. This is in case you do the certain site and you want to salvage. Bring the cans closer to you. And the minus 99% reduced CPU need for scan probe launchers. Okay, then you have the faction ships. These are, I think last Christmas they gave some faction ships, frigates used for scanning. For example, I have the Serum Magnet as a present, the CCP I mean. And the Zephyr, you have the Zephyr, which I put under it, because it's special editions ship. Basically, it can only be fitted with its own launcher, which is called the Prototype Iris Probe Launcher. And it can only launch core scanner probes. And basically, that's all you can fit on it, the probe launcher. And it will not be targeted by sleeper drones. So you might be able to go inside. I never tried it. Also, the Tech 2 frigates have different bonuses for the racial frigate skill level, relating to the racial specific gun type and or damage type. It depends. They have different bonuses depending on the race. And the Tech 3 cruisers, the bonuses that I listed there are for the specific subsystem, not for the hull itself. So the hull has its own bonuses, and then if you get that subsystem, you have the bonuses for scanning. Okay, next slide. We have the scanning window. basically, that's what you will see when you launch your probes. That's what you have to open in order to scan. We have the buttons that you will use, and I will explain them to you. Okay, you can open this window in space either by pressing Alt plus D. If you haven't altered the shortcut, I think this is the default one. I don't use shortcut for this. Or you can click the button to the left of your HUD, heads-up display, and it will open the scanner window. And you have 3 tabs on it. The system scanner, which you will use, the directional scanner, which is used for D-scan, and the moon analysis. You will use the moon analysis for survey probes, basically, and it will tell you the composition of moons. The probes in space part of the window, as you can see, you have a probes in space part. You have the next columns. You have the ID. The ID is basically, you can call them like the name of the probe. The number will increase each time you launch the probes, and it will only reset once you relog. As you can see, I have probe 14, 15, because I did a lot of scanning until I took that print screen. The range basically means the radius of the scanning sphere, the volume you're scanning now, the radius of it. Expires in the time before the probe will automatically be destroyed. If that runs out, the probe will be destroyed. There's no way of getting the probe back. The status. Basically, for the status, you have 5 different options. You have the idle, which means basically that the probe is just in waiting mode. It's staying in space and doing nothing. You have the warping. When you hit analyze, the probe will warp to its position where you placed it in the solar system. Then you have the scanning, which means basically that it starts scanning, and when the scanning status will come up, you'll have the analyzing countdown, which is the left side of the page. I have the analyzing countdown picture of it. Then you have returning, which means that they are warping back to you, and inactive. It means that you have deactivated it. Okay, every task you want your probes to perform will only be applied to the active probes. You can deactivate a part of the probes you have in space, basically. To do this, you click the icon in the active column. That's what that column is for. If you deactivate them and then click one of the buttons above, and by that I mean the big buttons, on the top left side of the scanner window, it will only apply to those that are active, the probes that are active. And if you click, for example, recover active probes, it tells you that's only for active probes. And the ones that are inactive will remain in space. Unless you click the little buttons on that specific line, which are destroy probe or recover probe. In that case, if the probe is inactive, it will automatically activate it and do the certain things you told it to do, destroy it or recover it. The probe illustration, the cube with arrows, will disappear from your solar system map, but you will be able to see the name of the probe and a small crossed out circle like the second image on the left in the presentation. You will basically see their position in space, but you will not have the cube anymore. Okay, the buttons. You have analyze, recover active probes, reconnect to lost probes, and destroy active probes. If you click analyze, it will warp the probes to the location you placed them in and start the analyzing process. If you click the recover button, it will warp the active probes back to your ship cargo hold. Reconnect to lost probes, it reconnects your ship with the probes you left in space and then docked or jumped in another system, for example. Then your probes will become lost and you have to reconnect to them, in case the timer didn't expire, of course, because if it expires, you will do that for nothing. Destroy active probes. It destroys them. It just clears them out. If you're in a hurry and you don't want to recover them, or I don't know, why you would want to destroy your probes. And map. It will open the solar system map. It's not the same button as the one you have on your Neocom that has, I think, F11 key as a shortcut. This one will open the solar system map. It doesn't matter what you had on your other map, basically. If you right-click the probe in space or in the probe in space window, which is on your scanner, a menu will appear with the options that you can see in the third image on the left of the presentation. You have deactivate probe, scan range, recover probe, and destroy probe. Pretty self-explanatory, and the scan range, basically you will be able to manually change the scan range to whatever you want. Okay, and if you select an option from that drop-down menu and by right-clicking it, it will only affect the probe, basically. Okay, the next slide you have the scan results part of the window. I cropped it out so you can see the menu and so you can see the columns better and what's written on them. On that scan results part of the scanning window, you have the ID, which is the identification tag. That one is changed every day at downtime. Well, for most signatures. There are some signatures that can remain in space longer. We'll talk about those later. It's composed every time. It's composed of 3 letters and 3 numbers, and it is unique to every signature. That means that no other signature will have the same tag. So if you, for example, go and scan a system and then later on you come back and you scan again and you want to find new signatures, if you made or remembered a certain ID that from the signatures you scanned earlier, it's the same one. It means it's the same signature and it's still there. Then you have the scan group, which basically it tells you what you scanned. In this case, it's cosmic signatures because that's the filter I had on. It will tell you basically cosmic signature, cosmic anomaly, ship or structure. That's the options you have that can appear on the scan group column. The group, basically the group will tell you what group the result is part of. There's no other way to put it. It's divided in groups. Then you have the type. Basically the type is the name of the site. You can search once you got the site to 75%. That's when to the signal strength of 75%. That's when the type will show, and at that point you can go, I don't know, Google Evlopedia. I use Evlopedia and write the name, and it will tell me what's in the site, ships, cans, what I can loot, what can be dropped. Yeah, so basically that's what you need that for. You can search it on the internet and see what you have to expect from that site. Then you have the signal strength, which is pretty self-explanatory. The closer you get, the better. The higher it gets, the better. Then you have the distance. The distance is basically the distance from your ship to that specific signature. And not the distance from your probes to the signature, but from your ship. For example, this is useful if you want to know if there's someone else there, or you want to descan and see if it's in a range of your descan, to be able to descan and see if there are any ships or what type of ships you have in the site, and if to warp there or not. Okay, the group normally shows at around 25% signal strength, and the type, as I told you, at around, well, 70%. I think I said 75 earlier. It depends. Some of them, for example, some of the groups show around 30%, therefore the word around. Okay, if you right-click a signature result, you will have the options that I screen capped there. But the warp to within 0 or warp to within, and save location options will only appear if the signal strength is 100%. And then you have the ignore result and ignore other results. You might need to use those in case you're not interested in that specific result. For example, if you're not interested in a specific group, or you just don't want to do it and you don't want to see it in your scanner. Then you have the clear result. It deletes it, but if you scan again and you catch it, it will show up again, even though you cleared it. Okay, the next slide, you have the 4 lines menu. Basically, you have some options there that will help you start scanning, which is edit current filter, if you already had a filter, created one. Create new filter, and then you have 4 filters. I mean, you have delete current filter. I will get to filters a bit later. And then you have clear all ignored results or clear ignored results. Basically, you'll have a list of the results you ignored. Maybe you want to go back to one that you ignored, or yeah, that's basically what you need. For example, you want to do them later and you put them on a ignore result. If you brought a specific signature to 100% signal strength and you ignore it, when you take it down from the list, it will still be at 100% and you will still be able to see it in space. That's useful in case, for example, you have 3 signatures and you scan each of them and then you bring them to 100%, yeah, and you want to delete some of them, like 2 of them, because you want to concentrate on one and just be clear and have the window clear and just see that one. But this is not the case if you dock or jump into another system. Even if you had that at 100%, it will disappear basically. Then the next slide, because I was too lazy to write them by hand, I just print screened the options you had for filters. Now, for filters, if you will need to create a filter. These filters, for example, if you want to scan signatures, you will have to just select the signatures you're interested in. But do not confuse this with thinking that your ship will automatically know what kind of group. Basically, you select a group from there. You just select a group, but your ship will not automatically know what group it is from unless you bring it to 25%. If you, for example, did not select, let's say, radar when you created your filter, when you scan something, let's say you have a signature and you scan it down, and it turns out to be radar, it will just disappear from your from your window and from your in space view on the map. Once it reaches 25%, and the ship will go, oh, this is a radar one. I'm gonna delete this one because she's not interested. So only then your ship will not automatically know, oh, that's a radar site. You don't need to scan that. Okay, next slide, you have signature groups and what they are, basically. As I said, when the signal strength of a signature reaches 25%, you will have your group in your scanning window. There are 5 types of groups. There are gravimetric, also known as hidden belts. You need to mine them. Basically, that's what you do. The thing about gravimetric sites is that when you find one, it has better asteroids in them. Basically, if, for example, you find a site called Large Omber Deposit, it will contain 3 types of Omber asteroids. The regular one, which is unnamed, it's just Omber, and then you have 2 other types of Omber, which would be silver and golden. The other types, silver and golden, will have a better yield when you refine them. So basically you will get more minerals from them. Specifically, they are better with a yield of plus 5% and 10%. Silver is 5% and golden 10% better yield, basically, or minerals that you get. These sites will despawn after it's completed, basically, or if 3 days have passed without it being completely mined. It means that you can go to a site, mine 1 or 2 asteroids, and then go get out of the site, warp out. It will still be there until it's completely finished, completely mined. This is not the case with other sites. Other sites, if you warp out and, for example, kill the rats in the site, and then you warp out, but you did not salvage the cans, then you'll lose the site. Sometimes, not all the times. Generally, the gravimetric signatures contains asteroids that are not found in the current level of the solar system in the normal asteroid belts. It will contain the types found in the system with a security level below the current one. You know, if you go to low-sec, you will have different asteroids there. Each security status system has certain types of asteroid. And for example, you can go to a 0.5 system, and you will find, if you find a gravimetric site, it will have the same asteroids as you would find in an asteroid belt in a 0.4 security system, security level system. You have the modules needed, which are mining lasers, more than one, and the skills needed. For mining miners, you have mining level 1 for the Tech 1 and mining level 4 for the Tech 2 versions. And you also have the deep core mining for the deep core mining laser. Deep core mining laser is used for one mineral, one asteroid type, which is called mercoxite. But these are very rarely found in gravimetric signatures. I mean, I think there are lists with names of gravimetric signatures and what you can find in them. And I only saw 1 or 2 that contained mercoxite. So basically, you just need mining lasers. Craster Alayli has a question. Do systems normally contain all types of anomalies? No. Or are some types more rare than others? Yes. There are, for example, radar sites, gravimetric sites, and well, it depends on the region you're in. Basically, the most rare one you will not find in high-sec, it's only found in SOV-null-sec, is the LADAR site, the LADAR type of site. Yeah, you can find LADAR in wormholes, but most of the LADAR found in wormholes aren't really worth it. I mean, that's what I found out. I scanned LADAR sites a lot in SOV-null, and the people that I gave the bookmarks to, the people that basically harvested them, told me that the LADAR sites found in wormholes are not usually worth it, the gases that they find. And by that, I will tell you a bit later about the LADAR sites and what they contain. Okay, then the gravimetric. Oh, okay, yeah. The deep core mining skill has its own prerequisites. So basically, that's not the only skill that you need to train. It has other prerequisites, but that's what you need for a deep core mining laser. Now the LADAR sites, the ones I was talking in the class.E-UNI, are also known as gas clouds. You need gas cloud harvesters for them, and the skills, the gas cloud harvesting level 1 for the Tech 1, at level 5 for the active version of the gas cloud harvester. The gas clouds are basically composed of gas clouds which are harvested and used for producing drugs, also known as boosters. If you look in the market, you can find boosters like the blue pill, for example. These boosters give you a bonus shield or I don't know, capacitor. When you take them, they have like a 60 minutes, I think, effect. In order to take the boosters, you also have to have some skill strength, which I'm biology, I think. And as I said, most of the gas clouds are, well, most of them are found in nullsec and sov nullsec, to be precise. And I didn't want to go so much in LiDAR sites in details, but basically a LiDAR site has gas clouds that will explode. Therefore, the high shield of the Venture, which has bonuses for gas cloud harvesting. Once you mine or start mining a gas cloud, it will start exploding and it will damage your ship. And you also need support in order to mine those, because they are in nullsec and there are a lot of people that know where they are. And it's a bit, and they're harder to find. There is a list of sites. Someone asked me a list of the sites can be grouped by the base signal strength of the site. So there are a large amount of signal strength for the site. The hardest to find is 1/80. That's how it's called, the signal strength. And if you actually divide 1 by 80, you will find out the base signal strength. And if that person is interested, I will give them the link, but at the end of the class, so I don't go out of what I'm saying now, because I will forget. And just tell me in class and I will give you the link to a site, and it will tell you which are the hardest to find. Basically, it's like a table, and you can look. You look at the list for the system, the security system in which you are. For example, highsec, lowsec, or nullsec, and it will tell you which is the hardest to find. But yeah, LiDAR, in my opinion, is the hardest to find, and I searched for it I scanned every possible site, basically, group of sites. Sorry. Then you should know that gas cloud harvesting has its own prerequisite, which is mining at level 4. Then you have the radar sites, which are also known as hacking sites. The hacking sites, because you need hacking in order to loot the cans. They contain cans which are protected by rats, usually, even in highsec, like 2 or 3 frigates, or 2 frigates and 2 cruisers, or something like that. And you need to hack them. In order to do that, you need a code breaker. The cans may contain decryptors, which are used for research and inventions and have a high price. For example, data. They look like a small blue. I will tell you. I will link one to you. 4.5 million, the estimated price. Then this one costs 6 million. Or you can find, for example, what have I found? You can find blueprints or blueprint copies. For example, when CCP introduces a new type of item, in Eve, they will either spawn the item or spawn the blueprint on the market, or, for example, as it was for the micro jump something. Just a sec, I have to find it. Yeah, thank you. Micro jump drive. Yep. For example, for that, you have to do the hacking sites. They may give you a blueprint copy of that, and then you can make lots of monies. But they usually spawn in nullsec. For example, I found one of the blueprint copies. I think it had 15 runs on it for a micro jump drive. And if you produce them fast enough, then you make lots of money, basically. Okay, what else? I told you about the skill books. No, I didn't. Or they can, the cans may contain skill books used for manufacture and research, and I will link one to you. For example, min-matter encryption. This one, min-matter encryption methods. Thank you. That one. The same. You can find that in hacking sites. Okay, radar, I told you about that. Magnetometric, aka salvage sites, or analyzer sites, or analyzing sites. It depends. They also contain cans that you have to use a salvager or analyzer module on them in order to open them. Basically, you don't actually salvage it like you would expect to salvage a wreck. You just put the salvager, you lock it, put the salvager on it, and it will tell you that it's opened, or somehow you hacked it with the salvager. They usually contain salvage materials which are used in production of Tech 2 modules. The same kind of materials that you can salvage from wrecks. But, for example, alloyed titanium, which is really costly, which costs a lot, and you can find that in a salvage site, a magnetometric site. Also, you should know that the salvaging and archaeology skills have their own prerequisites. All of these sites may usually contain NPC rats and may spawn another wave of rats if you interact with the objects in them. For example, you hack a can, and once you hacked it, or you try hacking it, or you're mid-cycle in hacking it, another wave of NPCs, pirates, will spawn, rats. Also, they may scram or web you, so you should be prepared when you warp to a site. And then there are the unknowns, which are combat sites or wormholes. Okay, the combat sites, the unknown combat sites are also called complexes or plexes. They only contain NPC rats with a high bounty and or goods loot, or loot drops, including faction items, and or salvage. If you salvage them, the wrecks of the rats, it will give you good salvage materials. For example, I think you heard of domination spawns. You can find them in complexes. For example, this, I found that in a unknown combat site, and it's worth 22 mil. I will give you some links now that you might find useful, and one of them is the specific list that I told you about, the wiki, the EVE Online wiki. Okay, that one. That's a list of cosmic signatures. And you can look for example, gravimetric signatures. You can click that and it will give you a list. But this one doesn't have the signature. Yeah, it does. It has the signature strength. For gravimetric sites. as you can see, you have the signature strength, and it says for high, low, and null, yeah, which is the security status, basically. Yeah, so the small onboard deposit is at 20% in high sec. That means that it's easy to find, basically. The small Hermorphite, Jaspet, and Kernite deposits. I'm sorry, I don't mind, so I don't have any idea how they are called. It's a 2.5% in high sec, which means it's harder to find than the small onboard deposit. You can find lists like that, like this, all over the internet, and so you can choose. For example, just say Cosmic Signature site list on Google, and you'll find a lot of them, and it will tell you which is the harder to find. This one, which is Evopedia. And when you get to a site, when you scan a site, you find it, you find the type, you can write the type of the site, the name of the site in the search box, and it will tell you what it contains, what NPCs, what kind of ships, what it may spawn, what the loot may be. It's not 100% accurate, but you'll be able to have an idea of what's expecting you there. Okay, then you have, for wormholes, the unknown signatures. Yeah, I said that there's combat and then there's wormholes. Wormholes are basically portals to wormhole space or known space, also known as K-space. You can determine the security status of the space it leads to by the name of the wormhole on your overview. When you, for example, warp to the wormhole, you will see the name, and you can search it on a link. I will give that link to you now in 5 minutes, and it will tell you where it leads, except for the name K162, which means that it's a wormhole exit. It means that someone on the other side found the wormhole, and when they jump into the wormhole, it will bring them to this part of where you are, basically. And it will not tell you where it leads. It will not give you a clue where it leads. Also, if you want to do exploration and you're going to enter a wormhole, please don't forget to bookmark your position on the other side. Which means basically either you can stay with your add location and bookmark it as soon as you jump, or open it and bookmark it when you jump in, because you'll have cloak. When you jump into a wormhole, you will have cloak like you would at the gate. When you jump in another system. And don't forget to bookmark it, because if you don't, then you'll have to scan the wormhole again in order to get back. And there might be 2 wormholes in that system, and you might be hunted down, and you'll not have time to scan both of them, and you might get lost and jump into another wormhole space, or another system, in null maybe. So don't forget to bookmark your exit, basically. And let me give you the links for the wormholes. Just a second.
I've just found a K162.
Nice. Well, you don't know where you're going, so if you're going on the other side, don't forget to bookmark it in order, when you come back, to be really, really quick about it. Okay, so you have the wiki E-UNI wormhole. Okay, this is the information about wormholes, basically, from the wiki, the Uni wiki. Then you have the most known of all, which is WormNav. Okay, WormNav. You use WormNav like this. You open it, and once you jump in a system, you will see, for example, you're on WormNav. You have the icon for the site. And then you have login, locator, market, thingy buttons. Then you have update, location, and you have system. What you do is write the name of the system there, and it will tell you the static of the system. It will tell you how many NPCs have died there, how many people have died there, For example, this is useful if you go into a wormhole and you want to rat, yes? Like do signatures or anomalies. And you don't know if anyone else knows about that specific wormhole that leads to wormhole space. And you don't want to wake up with another ship next to you shooting at you. And, well, it's never safe, basically, but you can know if someone else was there and ratted, which would be kill NPCs, before you got there. And you just write the name of system. They always, well, as far as I know, start with a J. Mortis, you're not the first one that told me that yeah. Okay, you write the name of the system and it will tell you stuff about the system, and please go and listen to a Wormhole class. I'm not going to go into details too long about wormholes, though they are really interesting. You can scan inside the wormhole, yes. You can go enter the wormhole space, and you can scan inside, yes. And you'll have signatures, and you'll have radar sites. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, Vulturion. Okay, then you have, for example, you look for the name. If you found a specific wormhole and you're standing in front of it and you see the name on your overview, you look at the name of the wormhole and it will tell you, that's a list of where it leads, basically. Then it tells you the time it will be stable, or the maximum time before it closes. And if you click one of them, it will tell you details. For example, if you click on your overview, on the wormhole on your overview and click show info, it will tell you something there. Something like general messages you have on the Elatha list that I gave you. If you click a wormhole name, this wormhole has not yet begun its natural cycle of decay and should last at least another day. And it tells you that that means that it will last 24 plus hours, and also different messages about the time before it closes, and also the mass you're allowed to jump in the wormhole or out before it will. You can actually close a wormhole by going over the board with the mass that you jump through it. And most of the guys that live in wormholes, if they want to close a wormhole and anyone from the other side won't have access, they will jump a freighter or something like that through a wormhole and they will close it, basically. If you want to participate in the practical, you have to have a probe launcher. It doesn't matter what type. Any probe launcher would do. And please have a cloaking device, because we will move from Aldrat, and as you saw in the other days, if you did, there were war targets coming and visiting us, and it's a vacation in most of Europe, as far as I know. I don't know, it's not Easter here, so it's vacation, so I'm guessing they might be on vacation too and visit us to eat something for Easter, and so I don't want you to be uncloaked and sitting like a sitting duck in space, so they can scan you down, or, yep. So please have a cloaking device and a probe launcher. Also, those of you that cannot come in the practical, you will be able to hear the instructions I give, and also see, like, if you scroll down in the presentation, you will see some print screens, and I will explain what those mean. Though it is written there, basically, so that's the explanation. But I will explain how to place your probes that way. So if you cannot know our targets, yep, I know, but they can come anytime. And besides, we won't stay in Aldrat, but they can come anytime. We will take a 10-minute break because I need to drink some water. I've been talking a lot. Also, you can talk on Mumble until then. I have no problem with that. Please join the people that want to, go in the practical. Please join that. And the people that want to help me organize, and by organize I mean basically you will make a safe spot in the system that we're going to, And the people in your squad will warp to you, once you're in that safe spot, will warp to you at 10, 20, 30, 40 kilometers away, while you're in the safe spot. And I need people that know how to make a safe spot safe. Just not be on the planet or gate, somewhere in space. Guys, people that want to come into the practical, join the fleet. And those of you that are not in Aldrat or don't want to undock, just stay docked and look at the slides and listen. System Liebold. So, as I know, there are 3 in Erster and 3 in Liebold. Liebold? Thank you. Liebold. Yeah. It's a little bold. Okay. Well, the squad 2 will warp to me, basically. And squad 1, Halday, Karth. You're gonna make a safe spot. Okay. Fleet, undock. Align Erster. Okay, once we get in system, Halday, please make a safe spot. I see you with us, and jump. Fleet, jump.
If you're wondering why I'm not in fleet, I'm currently fleet boss for Operation Fortress.
It's okay. But in that case, you have to make a safe spot for yourself, because you won't be able to warp to your squad commander, basically.
Yeah, of course, I know.
You're going to get ninja warped. Take the warp. Innovati, how much income can you expect from exploring? It varies a lot from day to day, and it depends where you're doing exploration, and also basically the security status of the system you're doing. For example, low sec will have better loot. It's not as safe as high sec, but it will have better loot or salvage, or it doesn't matter. What you find better things in there, but it's not safe. You have pirates that can come and kill you, and in high sec though, it depends on how many sites you do a day. You can earn 500. Hell day. Please go and make a safe spot somewhere.
I have a safe spot if anyone wants to warp to me.
Okay, no, not warp, not yet. The people in squad 1 warp to your squad commander, which is Halday Karth, at 10, 20, and so on and so forth, depending if you're first on the list, warp at 10. If you're second, Ara will warp at 10. Checkmath will warp at 20, Jumbar at 30, and so on and so forth. Okay? So you have some room between yourselves, so you can launch your probes and not decloak one another. And even at Innovati, getting back to, it depends. You can make from ISK from like 500,000 ISK to mils of ISK. I don't know. For example, 6 mil if you find a radar site and it's good, and it depends how many sites you do a day, and the time it takes you to scan them and stuff like that. And the people that are still with me, which is Hal, Eloach, and Veil, where are you going? Hal, Eloach, and Veil, please warp back to me. Hal will warp at 10 kilometers from me, Eloach at 20 kilometers from me, and Veil 30 kilometers from me. And the other people that are in the other safe spot with Halday, please open your overview if you have the fleet overview setting, overview, how it's called, overview. Yeah, overview. Load the fleet one and be sure that you're at least 10 km away from everyone else. If you're not, burn in a direction that will not decloak them. I mean, not close to them. To be as far away as possible, like 10 kilometers. Because when you launch your probes, and getting back to the point, Someone warped at 0. No problem. I'm getting away from you then. If you stop, when you start scanning, and you want to cloak, you have to be at least 2,000 meters away from any object in space. So basically, when you're going to launch your probes, if you stay still, which means your ship will have 0.0 meters per second. When you launch your probes will be launched at 2,002 meters from your ship, and it will allow you to recloak, to cloak basically, and so you will be safe from people that are trying to scan you. This is especially useful if you're in low-sec, null-sec, and high-sec if you have warp targets around, or you see scanning probes on your disk. Okay, now launch your probes. You have to know that you will have to launch each probe automatically, manually, because it doesn't have a reload. Do not move them, just launch them. Or if you want to get away from your probes, like I did now, because I didn't stop before launching them. When you start launching your probes, just double click in space somewhere, and after you get out of range, basically over 2,000 meters from them, you can recloak. Okay, guys, cloak. Once you launch your probes, cloak. If you cannot cloak and you're close to some probes, just move away and then cloak, just to be safe, and yeah.
You could also move all of your probes away and then send them to Analyze, and that will get them off the grid.
Yes, I know, but that will come a bit later for the people. Okay, tell me in class, because there might be people that are just in class. Any of you trained astrometrics only to 1? That means if you have astrometrics only level 1, you will be able to launch 4 probes. No more than 4 probes. Please X up in class. Okay. You should train astrometrics to 2. It's easier to place the probes, basically. Okay. Just 1? That's fine. Now, open your scanner window with Alt-D or next to your heads-up display. Oh, and veil. Okay, so you can only launch 4 probes. It's okay.
You can still do a decent pattern with 4 probes.
Yep, exactly. But I wanted to know if I should say that also. We'll get to that at some point. Okay, now you open your scanner, go to the system scan, and make sure again that you are cloaked, because you're safe if you're cloaked. And click on your map button. Once you click your map button, you will see the map. On my solar system map, I can see scan result, scanner probe, and sun, because I use the sun as a point of reference. It's easier that way because it's in the center of the solar system, so yep. To set up what you need to see, you can go to your world map control, which will open when you open the map. Go to the solar system map tab and click on the show for scan results, probe, and sun. That's what I use. It keeps my map clear, and that's what I use for scanning. Okay, now you can minimize that so it will not be in your way, or you can let it open however you want. If you have your tactical grid opened, you can use that to place your probes, but only if you want to use that. I don't use that because it makes me concentrate on where the lines are. But for example, for the people that can only launch 4 probes, I recommend that you use your tactical grid or tactical overlay, or however it's called. It's next to your heads-up display. Basically, you have the scanner, and a bit on the left, like a diagonal, you have the tactical one. And that will also show in the system. Yeah. that will also show in the solar system map. Yeah, Alt-D was for scanner, and I was looking, I didn't know what you were saying. Okay, yeah, if you have 4 probes, you can use that, but you're not obligated to use that. Yeah, so now, to place your probes, put your camera to see the solar system like from above. I have to tell you, this is my way. This is how I do it. I do not say that it's the best way or basically the best way. I don't want to step on any toes. Everyone does it as they please, but for me, this has worked for a lot of time, and it's faster than anything else I've tried. Okay, now, to place your probes, if you have the probe is composed, as you can see it in space, you will only see one of them because they are over, like one on top of the other, yeah? So you can only see one in space now, like the image from one of them. If it has a cube and it has 6 arrows, a pair of arrows basically will indicate a direction. If you put your camera to see like a top view of the solar system and your tactical grid overlay, or however it's called, it's better for starters to do that, as you will be able to see the symmetry between the probes, and be careful not to zoom in or out while you do this, because you will lose that symmetry if you zoom in or out. So find a zoom level that you're comfortable with and stay with that one. Don't zoom in or out. Okay, now to place your probes, you can either click on a if you go with your mouse over a arrow, you will see that it will light up the arrow on the opposite side also, and that means that you can move the probe on that direction. Yeah, so you also can use the cube, which has the faces. If you, for example, go on top of the cube, you will see that it will light up, like it become blue, if someone moved their probes. Okay, it will become blue, and it means that it will move the probe, that certain probe that you're on top of, it will move it in that plane. Yeah? Okay, so arrows, directions, side of the cube, plane. Okay, now to place them, to make the formation. You have to, you left click a arrow and drag it until you have, until it to a side. It doesn't matter what side. You will do that on all 4 sides that you can see right now when you're looking from a top view. And let's say drag it downwards. Yes, if you drag it downwards, you have to drag it until the up arrow, the arrow that's on top of it, will be tip to tip with the center probe, which is the probe's place, the initial place of the probes. Yeah, I will call that center probe because it's easier to say than the probes. Let's say you click the arrow and drag it, left click it, drag it downwards until the 2 tips are tip to tip, yeah, they touch, or you can drag it to the first circle of your tactical grid. It doesn't matter. You do it how you wish. I use the tip to tip thing because it's easier, basically, and it doesn't require the tactical grid, which I don't like very much. Okay, so basically you have, when you drag it down or up or sideways, it doesn't matter, you have to put the length of 2 arrows between the cubes. Someone didn't understand that, because when I wrote my notes, I didn't actually, I tried a lot of sentences to explain that, and that's the best one I came with. The length of 2 arrows between the cubes. The cube that you're going to place now and the center cube. If anyone has problem with how I made that sentence, please X up in class.E-UNI or inflate. Okay, so you did this. I have to stop pressing shift because as I will tell you later, shift is a shortcut for scanning. And also, it is my push to talk, because I'm that bad at setting up things. Okay. Now, you do that first. Let's say you drag the first probe down, the second probe to the left, the fourth probe to the right, and the fifth probe, you leave one in the center for those of you that can launch more than 4 probes, which means 5 or more. And you leave the fourth one in the center, and you drag the fifth one wherever it's needed. Let's say above. I will tell you how. Just a second. Yeah, I will get to that at some point. Okay, for those of you that have only 4 probes, you can do the same thing with using your tactical overlay grid, and just drag the fourth probe that's supposed to be in the center. You can drag it to the circle, the first circle, and the same with the other probes. But also you have the option, when you click a probe and start moving it, you will see lines, green lines, but only when you're moving it. You will see like green lines between the probes. And you can move the probe, the fourth probe, until those green lines become perpendicular, basically. Because the center of those lines, where they intersect, it's basically the center of your formation. If you have more than 4 probes, then the center of your formation will be the center probe, and you won't see the lines. Well, yeah, basically you won't see the lines when you move the probes. Okay, and you haven't finished making up the formation, zoom in, but move your view, basically, your camera, move it so you can see the probes horizontal with your screen, yeah? Like somehow in 3D, so you will be able to see the center of the other probes like in a parallel plane with the tactical grid, or with the solar system, because most of them are almost in the same plane. Okay, and once you've done that, once you've done that, take another probe from the center one, but always leave in the center of the formation. So if you have 5 probes, stop now and don't move anything. If you have 6 probes or 7 probes, move a probe downwards, what is down for you now, which will be underneath the current probe formation. If you have 7, you do that, and so move one above the current probe formation. And I have to do that right now, just a sec. Now to move them in the center of the solar system, you can double-click the sun. By the way, this will take a bit longer, which will be until 21:15, because I delayed it by 15 minutes, so it will take 15 minutes more. So if anyone has to go, tell me now, and I will explain this to you later, I'm guessing. Okay, now, if you want to center your camera view, like how you see your camera, you can double-click the sun. That's why I have the sun on my solar system map. If you double-click it, it will center the camera on the sun. That means that the sun will become your pivot point. And whenever you will rotate your camera, it will rotate as the sun. It will be its center. Okay, now to move all of your probes, you can press Shift and left-click one of the probes, basically. It doesn't matter which one. And I recommend that you press side of the probe, so you can move it in a plane and not only on one direction. And move it so the sun will be in its center. Like the sun will be on top, or basically on top or inside the center probe. That's basically, the center of the solar system. Now, to increase the range, the scanning range, you can press Shift and drag the bubbles. You know, the probes have bubbles. Yeah, like they show you the radius, like a sphere, yeah, that they will scan, the volume. You can press Shift and drag it. It will make them bigger or smaller. And when you do this, you will basically cover the whole system. There are systems that can be covered with the formation no matter how you put it. And for those, I recommend that you your settings so that it will show you, shift affects all probes together, yes. And so that you make your, so again, if there are systems bigger that cannot be covered by this formation in the center of them, I did find some of those, you can use planets as pivot point or as point of reference. Okay, now to distance the probes from one another, you use Alt. You press the Alt key and also drag a arrow. Do not use the center arrow to drag. I mean, to click on the center, one of the arrows from the center probe, because they will start moving frenetically, like really fast to one side and the other. So just select like probe from the limits of the formation and drag it like you see a cross right now. Pick one of the drag from one of the arrows that are on either side, like left, right, or above. Yeah, and you use Alt to distance them from one another or to get them closer to one another. Okay, now if you look at my print screens that I cannot see right now because I'm in space, you have the probe formations, which it's the next site after the groups. You will see that I chose the overlapped area. It's not big, as in it's not a whole probe, because if you get them too close, it will be like you only have one probe. Yeah, if you make the overlapped area too close, it's like triangulation. The distance has to be just right, and you have to put the result in the middle of the overlapped area, and by that I mean where all the spheres come together. Oh, you look at the last slide. That would be like the how I see it, the best area to be overlapped, as I see it. The last slide from the presentation. The other ones I had to make them like that, so I will be able to show you the indicators. I mean, to not actually get the signature to 100%. Analyze. Click Analyze. Okay, now you have to wait for a bit. Someone that doesn't have a filter, you click on the 4 lines menu, you go to Create New Filters, and you select all the signatures, but just that, the signatures from the Cosmic Signatures list. And you name it, let's say, Signatures. That's how I named it. Because if you scan with the normal Show All in the scan result window, scan result filter, show all, it will show you the anomalies too. Yeah, I got over the filters thing, and I in my head I assumed that people have the filter set up. Oh, there are no anomalies here. Yeah, 4 types of indicators. There are a sphere, which basically means that only one probe got a hit on the result. That, as I put them in the slides, only one probe can see the result. And it will be a sphere, a red sphere. If the result indicator is a circle, it means that two probes can see it. It's that circle basically, it shows you the area between the probes where it might be, where the result might be. Then you have, if you have 2 dots, They will also show up as 2 dots in your scan results. They will have the same ID, but it will be the same signature, but it will have the same ID. And when you scan again, you have to get both of the result indicators, in the overlapped area of the formation, of the probe formation. If you can see 1 dot, it means that you got it, that 4 probes can see it, basically. That's why you need 4 probes to scan down signature. If you have 1 dot, it means that 4 probes can see it, and then you can, for example, if you want to center your camera on that 1 dot, so you can make it your pivot point, so you can see where you place your probes and stuff, you can, again, double-click it, and it will center your camera there. Once you get the results to 1 dot, you can move the probes. Well, basically, until you get it, if you have any other indicator, you have to put that indicator in your overlapped area of the formation. If you have a sphere, you have to put the sphere inside the overlapped area. A circle, the same. 2 dots, the same. You have to put them both in the overlapped area of the formation. And if you have 1, like I do now, I have 1. There are 3 signatures, and only 1 is only 1 dot, basically, that 4 probes can see it. The other ones are circles. To move your probes now, if you have a hit, basically, a full hit, which is on 1 dot, again, use Shift, move them. I don't recommend that you decrease the range of the scan just yet. Scan again, if it wasn't in the center. And when you move your probe formation, move it as you did for the sun. So put the result in the middle of your center probe, basically, and scan again. And after you scan again, I have to wait for that. Okay. Once you do that, the next steps will be to decrease the distance between the probes using Alt, and then decrease the scanning range. And again, put your center probe on top of the signature and rinse and repeat. That's what you do until you get to 100%. So you decrease the distance between your probes using Alt and left click on a arrow. And after that, you decrease, or before, it doesn't matter in which order, you decrease the range of the scanning area, so the range of the probe. And each time, try to center the scan result in the middle of the formation. Put the scan result in the center probe. And rinse and repeat until you get it to 100%. The 8 probe formation differs from this one. Well, not so much, but the ones I saw, not many people, in order for you to be able to launch 8 probes, you have to have astrometrics to 5. And not many people train astrometrics to 5 unless they want to use deep space probes. Deep space probes have a large area that you can scan, and they're useful if you get, for example, in a wormhole. They can scan for ship structures and signatures, and for example, you go into a wormhole, you launch a deep space probe. It has 256, I think. And most of the people that train astrometrics to 5, they train it for that one. They train it to be able to use deep space probes. They have 256 AU. I'd like to do a quick scan of the system and then see where they are and what are there, for example, ships that can kill you, because as you know, if you know, you don't have a local in a wormhole space. And ships, bosses, and things like that they might be interested in. So deep space probes, most of them use Astrometrics 5 for deep space probes, but the 8 probes formation is basically, it's a 4 probe formation on top of another 4 probe formation, if you want to do that. A deep space probe has a base strength, base sensor strength that's low. So it's not really recommended to use it to bring a sight to 100%. That's the problem with it. You have basically, I think I skipped that. You have combat probes, which scan everything. You have core probes, which only scan signatures, and you have survey probes, which scan moons. I was too fast to get to the actually scanning part, and I skipped them. Like I showed you the table in the presentation. And the deep space one, you can also use, you should know this, you can also use deep space, 2 different type of probes in space, or 3, it doesn't matter. For example, you can launch a deep space probe, and then after that, you can load and launch another, I don't know, let's say 4 core probes or 4 combat probes. And the large one, the deep space probe, will make you see whatever is in the system, will scan the whole system, and then you can make a formation with that in the middle or wherever you want it. And with the other ones, you can get the signature to 100% because they have a sensor strength larger than the deep space one. Yeah, if you can get dot, then you have to make your overlapped area bigger and increase your range, and it depends on the skills. So you should train astrometric. Which one of those were it? Scan strength, range finding, astrometric range finding. Basically, the best probes and launcher that you can have is the sister combat scanner. Combat scanner, the sister set basically. The combat scanner probes, the core probes, and I think there's a sister deep space. Yeah, the deep space scanner probes with the sister expanded probe launcher. You can only launch combat probes from a expanded probe launcher. The best is the sisters one, sisters core probe launcher, which is a tech and sister expanded probe launcher for the combat probes. Where the launchers, the sisters one, have a scan strength bonus of 10%, and the rate of fire is faster, which means you can fire a probe at 1.5 seconds instead of 2 seconds, which would be the normal probe launchers, the core or expanded ones. And also, let me tell you something about the survey probes, because not many people cover that. I don't know, you might be interested, because they are used for POSes. You scan a mineral content of a moon. The moon has to be in a lower than 0.2 security status system. And with a POS on that moon, you can mine, basically you can mine the moon. And you can make some money from moon mining. That would be it, I think. Mumble is open for questions. I think I might have skipped some of them. I mean, I'm pretty sure I skipped some of them from class because I was talking so fast and trying to cover a lot of things, like ships and rigs, and that I haven't really stopped to cover the probes. So Mumble is open if you want to stay another 5 minutes for questions, and please ask them in Mumble or in the class.E-UNI. Come on, no questions?
Did anyone get all 3 locations scanned down to 100% yet?
Not me. I stopped at some point.
I did.
Good.
I still can't get my 1 to 100.
How many probes do you have out?
4 probes.
Get the probes closer to each other and make the range, the radius, the scanning radius bigger for the probes, and try to get the indicator inside that, and try again. But if you don't succeed like that, it means basically that you have to train some support skills like astrometric range finding.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, please? I mean, please in Mumble, because it's open now.
Just a quick hint, guys. If anybody of you track down the haunted yard site. Be careful when you jump in. I did jump in because I was a nosy person, and I just lost my ship to drones because they are webbing.
Yep, I said that. Sorry. Yeah. Well, this is the perfect example. I told to be prepared when you warp to a site because you might get scrammed web. Okay. Any way to scan down radar or magnetometric sites quicker? Yes, but it's a bit more complicated, and I cannot explain it to you now. I might have an exploration 102, basically, and I will give some tools that are good with that. Rigor mortis, really? Okay. Okay, any other questions? Because apparently my my class channel, zoomed, so many things were written that it doesn't have some questions from earlier there.
Can you go over basic using the directional scanner to speed up combat probe scanning without hinting to your target that you're there?
Yeah, that's a bit, well, basically, let's say you jump into a system and you want to scan down that's like a scouting job. You want to scan down a ship. If you descan, you can use, I think, a cloaking ship. I'm not pretty sure. I'm not really good with scanning. Yeah, you can
use directional scanner while cloaked.
Yeah, exactly. So you basically align towards, let's say he's at planet 2, but you don't know that. So you take the planets by, like, from 1 to 10. Yeah, let's say there are 10 in the system. You align to 1. He's not at 1. You put the descan at 5, the angle 5 degrees or 15, I think. Yeah. And he's not there. You put it at, or no ship is there. You put it at the second planet, the same 15 degrees or 5 degrees, and he's not there also. But if at some point you find him, then you can launch your combat probes, put them around that planet. You can click Show Planets in the solar system map settings, and put the probes at minimum range, for example, 0.5 AU, that's the minimum range of combat probes, around that planet. And and scan. Yeah? And also you can, if he's not there and he has like a mid-safe between the gate and the planet, you can slowly start to move your probes towards you, because you will see your ship on the map, and towards you, and enlarge, make the radius a bit bigger, and so on. At some point you will get a hit, because he has to be between you and the planet at 50 degrees angle, which is like a triangle between you and the planet. Does that cover it? Does that answer your question, or you wanted something else?
That's fine.
Yeah, don't forget to adjust the range as well. The range will help you lock down how far away they are, because there could be a planet the other side of the planet you're aligned to.
Yeah, it's better to see a map view of your solar system, so you can be to be able to see the distance between you and the planet, and then the planet that's behind it. Because if the distance is longer, more than 14.35 AU between the planet and the one behind it, then you won't get the one behind it. You'll just get the first one.
So I've got my red dot to a yellow beacon. How do I kind of get a stronger signal from there?
You keep decreasing the radius of the probes.
You keep doing that. As I said, rinse and repeat. You make the radius smaller and get the probes closer to each other.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you for attending. And sorry, Elo, do I need to enter the wormhole to find a system to enter into Wormhole? Yes. You have to know which system it leads to, so yes. Okay. thank you for listening to me. And again, if you have questions, you can email me. And if they're really urgent questions, you can PM me, but like really urgent. Okay, thank you for the class. And if you have things to say about the class and feedback that you want to give me, please post it in the forum. And I know that someone started recording, and that's why I didn't record myself. Okay, thank you again for listening to me mumbling.